All right, this is the holiday breakdown. We're going to talk about how to get the most out of this time of year for your studio and what that means and what that looks like and how you should be handling your marketing right now and how you can still take some time off and make things work really well, and also how we can leverage this time right now so that we have a more effective new year as you're ramping things up into the new year. There are nuances in every area right now. Everything is, of course, a little bit strange still. Some of you I know in many areas are still on virtual classes and on Zoom. Some are in some kind of hybrid thing going on, and many of you are able to host classes in limited capacities and that kind of stuff. So everybody has a little bit of a strange thing going on this time this year, but there are some things that remain consistent throughout the holidays no matter what. And we want to make sure that you're able to leverage from the place that you're in, from what's going to work most effectively for you in your studio. So ending the year strong, we're going to talk on this presentation today on how to focus marketing through the holiday season. So how do we get that focused? How do we make that actually get us some results, especially in light of all of the things that are going on this year and all of the uncertainty that everybody has, and how we can manage that and navigate that and make sure that everything is still working for you, especially those of you in our programs that did a good job of raising your tuition aggressively and adding value the way that we teach. This is going to be a key time of year that's going to lead into a very, very powerful new year if you'll take advantage of what's going on this time of year, okay? Now, the other thing is we'll talk about how to enroll more students sooner than later and why we should be doing that. There are a lot of studios, probably most of your competitors out there right now, that aren't necessarily giving up, but have definitely pulled back on their marketing at this time of year, and they're just trying to kind of skate through the holiday season and quarter four in general. Maybe they have a little, presentation that they're doing, some kind of a holiday showcase or something, a video version of that. Maybe that's what's going on in most studios. But we do want to be getting people in and enrolling, and we do want to be doing that, getting them to come in and do that before the end of the year. And we'll talk about how to do that, and more importantly, why you should be doing that on this presentation. So you want to make sure that you pay attention to that. Go grab some note-taking material if you need to, because we're going to go over a lot of stuff here. All right, now how to leverage the work you're doing right now into the new year. So I mentioned that already, but you will have a better new year. You will have stronger enrollments and retention through the new year if you will pay attention to what it is we're talking about and implement the things in the order that we're going to show you to do on this presentation today. So make sure that you are not just, not that you're getting lazy. I'm not going to accuse anybody of that in such a strange year, but make sure that you're remaining focused on this marketing and implementing things with the intent to get students enrolled now and also later. Okay, that's what we're trying to do. So we're also going to talk about why pulling back on marketing this time of year actually drops your momentum. And even if you're in a position where you're not trying to aggressively grow enrollments at your studio, right now, there's some good justification for building up that marketing and building up waiting lists and that kind of stuff, so that as soon as you're ready to pull the trigger on those classes, you're able to do that. Now, that's not the ideal situation, but in whatever situation you're in, maintaining your marketing through this time of year is going to be key, especially this year. Now, quarter four, every single year, has some difficulties and has some nuances, like we mentioned. There are some things that we need to be doing differently in quarter four than we do maybe throughout the rest of the year. One, it's just the reality is that it's harder to get in touch with prospects at this time of year. A lot of people traveling, a lot of people making plans for the holidays, a lot of people, having sort of extracurricular activities with things that are going on at work and all that kind of stuff. Just in general, this is a harder time of year to get in touch with prospective students. The other thing that happens, of course, is your studio may be closed for the Thanksgiving holiday and the weeks between Christmas and New Year's and that kind of thing, and there's just simply not staff there to answer the phone or follow up on emails as much as there is during other times of the year. So we need to confront that reality. That is a real thing. It is harder to get in touch with prospects at this time of year. So we'll show you some strategies to make sure that we compensate for that. There is also just simply less time to schedule intros and enrollments. If your studio is not open, and it shouldn't be, over the Thanksgiving holiday and over the Christmas holidays and New Year's holidays or whatever other holidays you celebrate in your area, there is just simply less time to put people on the calendar and get them in for classes. That also may be a reality for those of you that are working on choreography for some kind of a show this time of year or something like that, that it just becomes more difficult to get people in for those intros. We'll talk about some strategies for handling that as well, okay? Social media advertising is more expensive at this time of year. And so if you do, and you should be, relying on Facebook and Instagram and those types of platforms for your paid advertising, the prices for those go up more at this time of year. There are a number of reasons for that. All of the e-commerce folks are throwing a ton of budget at this as they're trying to make holiday sales. And everybody else in the world, large corporations that didn't spend all their budget earlier in the year, especially this year when they were pulling back on advertising, have budgets that they need to finish off at this time of year, and they throw more money into this. The elections this year had an impact on that. All of those things have an impact on that. And so that drives the cost of social media marketing up. Okay, so you need to keep that in mind, that the more money that other businesses, even if they're not direct competitors, are throwing into that market, the more it drives our prices up. That does not mean that we should stop doing that type of advertising. If anything, we should also be increasing our budgets on those at this time of year. But we need to understand that it does become more expensive to do that at this time of year. You just need to be okay with that, right? Calendar considerations. If your ads are not performing very well, or they've kind of burned out or kind of going on their way down, the week before Thanksgiving, let's shut them off and relaunch on Cyber Monday. Okay, so I don't want anybody like relaunching ads on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, or Sunday of that week especially. But if the ads are not performing well, we don't want them to optimize on top of a holiday time. All right, so just go ahead and shut them off, and then we'll send out some additional emails and things like that, or whatever else we need to do to compensate. But let's push those ads to relaunch early in the morning on Cyber Monday if you come to that week and those ads are not doing as well as you would like them to. Don't pause, duplicate, or relaunch. Don't do anything during that week. Let's just relaunch those ads something like 2 o'clock in the morning on Cyber Monday, or let them re-optimize on a more normal week. Okay. Like I said a second ago, we need to be compensating with some kind of additional email marketing or something like that if the ads start. If you do need to turn them off during those holiday weeks. You should err on the side of sending too many emails to people at this time of year. So all of those emails, of course, the way that we teach them, structure them that way. They need to have calls to action in them. Remember, your subject lines need to be compelling. If nobody opens the email, they're not going to see the call to action anyway. So we need to get high open rates on those emails, and you need to be tracking those open rates. Pay attention to what percentage of those emails are actually getting opened. The other thing, last little tip here on the email marketing at this time of year, remember that the PS line is the second most read line in pretty much every email, the subject line being number one. And so make sure that you have an additional call to action in the PS line at the end of that email that you're sending out. But overcompensate. We need to send more emails this time of year, not fewer emails. Now, if you don't have an email list, there's part of your problem, right? The best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. Second best time is right now. So go ahead and start building that list of people that are interested in what it is that you offer, but that maybe haven't come in yet to take a class or haven't enrolled for one reason or another. So we need to be building that list, and that's your most valuable marketing asset by far. Scheduling intros Monday and Tuesday before Thanksgiving at the latest, then push everything to the following week. Same reason as relaunching those ads that we talked about earlier. Monday and Tuesday of Thanksgiving week, we can get people in for intros. That is reasonable. Every single year that's the case. Wednesday through Sunday of that weekend, just don't even try. You're going to get too many no-shows. You will get some people who will show up on Black Friday or the Wednesday before Thanksgiving, but that Wednesday before Thanksgiving, most years is a huge travel year. We expect to see that in most areas this year still, even in light of everything else that's going on. And so people will have the best of intentions and schedule intros and then not show, and you're going to end up having to reschedule all of those intros. So just don't even bother scheduling them those days. Same thing for 2 days before Christmas, the week after Christmas to New Year's. Just don't schedule the intros on those days, and let's get those intros on any other day in the time. Okay. Now, it is important that we create some urgency and scarcity here as we are running marketing at this time of year. We want to get people enrolled at this time of year and not just have them put it off until the new year. All right. There are a number of reasons for that, but we want to get these people enrolled right now and not just have them put it off until the new year. People always have a mindset to start new things in the new year. That will be more difficult to overcome, that mindset, this year than it ever has in the past and probably will be in the future reasonably. Everybody is just kind of done with 2020. No matter what area you live in or how heavily COVID is impacting your enrollment still, or who you were voting for in the presidential election, no matter who, everybody's just kind of ready to put 2020 behind them and to get things ramped up again for 2021. And so they kind of see this as this, sort of this mental block. And I'm just going to go do all this new stuff in 2021. We're just going to coast through the holidays. You are going to be fighting that mindset. And that's a reality even when we don't have such a crazy year like we did this year. And so we need to make sure that we understand that people have that mindset, and you are going to be up against that mindset. And we'll show you how to kind of create that urgency here, but you just need to expect it. Okay, you need to understand that people are going to be telling you, hey, yeah, well, great, we'll just come in January, and we need to put a little bit of pressure on that so that we can get them enrolled sooner than later. Okay, the way that we do that, a couple of ways. One is, first, we revisit the offer you can't refuse. And so what is it like? What is the justification for them enrolling in your program right now instead of waiting until the future? What do they get today if they sign up, and they don't get, they can still sign up in the future, but they don't get that thing, right? What is the offer you can't refuse? And that's one of the ways that we can create both urgency and scarcity in the programs that we're trying to enroll people in. The other thing I would say is that, remember, increasing the down payment can create more urgency in the enrollment conference. So most studios are still out there charging these little, $35 a year registration fees or whatever. And if you've gone through any of our programs in our training, you understand how this down payment structure works. But at our studios, we don't even have a program that has less than a $250 down payment requirement on the front end of it for regular ongoing classes. And that doesn't even exist, right? We don't even offer that. By increasing that down payment, you will increase the urgency in the enrollment conference, and you will be able to give yourself and your staff more leverage as you are overcoming objections and trying to get those people to sign up sooner than later. So make sure that you refocus on those strategies. If you need to go through some of our additional training or something like that, highly recommend that. But it seems counterintuitive, and the reason that I wanted to emphasize this technique a little bit is because it seems so counterintuitive. Most people are afraid to charge those large down payments as they're first learning about that, and if they will just simply move them up, they find that if you use the scripts and the training that we offer all of you guys, that you'll actually increase the urgency to enroll as you increase that down payment. So we recommend that you do that at this time of year if you need that urgency and scarcity. Retrain staff on overcoming objections during the enrollment conference. So when you're making the actual offer and you're saying to students, this is what you should enroll in, and this is how you do it. A lot of times you're going to get the objection, well, we're going to go home and talk to dad, or we're going to think it over. It's like, hey, this is awesome. We have a lot of stuff this time of year, so we're just going to get started again in January. We'll come in and do it then. You're going to get some objections like that, and you should just go into this expecting those objections. That's absolutely fine. It doesn't mean you're doing something wrong. You should go into this expecting that, and then you should train your staff on what to say. If they need to get in touch with dad right now, can you call him right now? It's like, well, I'd hate for you to miss out on this deal, blah, blah, blah. Like, go through that training again and make sure that you understand those scripts and how you can create that urgency during the objection portion of the sales conference, of the enrollment conference. And let's get staff retrained on that because this is a great time of year for them to be practicing and honing and sharpening those skills. And we want them to be up to snuff. If you haven't done that training with your staff in a while, or if you haven't gone through it yourself or role played with somebody on that for a while, let's get you resharpened on that now so that everybody's ready for the new year and the new enrollments that we're going to be putting people into there. And this is all true. This is all the same. That none of this changes if you're still doing some Zoom classes, or if you're temporarily on, online, or doing a hybrid model or something like that. Still, all of this is still the truth. Okay, all of this is still the same. We've seen this for months now. Months and months of experience running these strategies, and we need to make sure that we're paying attention to that as well. The other thing is that COVID has given us the better messaging than maybe ever in the history of running studios for scarcity. Those of you that are still on limited capacities and that kind of stuff, you need to let people know that you are limiting capacity in these classes, and that if they miss out and somebody else gets that spot, they're just gonna have to wait till something opens up. So let's create that scarcity if you do have that legitimately at your studio right now. Okay, so better messaging for studios that are actually on limited techniques right now anyways. That's a good thing. Okay, individual techniques that we think everybody should be focused on right now. First of all, almost always, no matter what the time of year is, if you haven't optimized your website yet, if you're not watching the analytics on your website, that's absolutely one of the first things you need to go do. What does that mean? That means that we need to make sure that a major portion of the traffic that goes to your website is actually converting. How many of the visitors that hit your website, can you answer this question? How many people that hit your website go to your homepage and don't navigate any further through your website? How many people within the first 3 clicks on links on your website are filling out some kind of registration form to sign up for some kind of intro program or something? We need to make that optimized. We need to get that optimized, up and running. and we need to make sure that that all of those things are happening, and those things need to happen before we start driving more traffic to your website, before we start trying to get more visitors to the website, however we're doing it, paid social media, search engine optimization, whatever you're doing, that website needs to be optimized. So once again, if you need some help doing that, if you don't know how to do that, of course, Google Analytics is the first tool that we recommend everybody install on their website, so you can be tracking that. But reach out to us and we'll help talk you through that, and we'll walk you through that. And we do need that up and running if you haven't done that piece yet. Before you're focusing on anything else, okay? Even if you're running landing pages from social media ads, or you're doing, Facebook lead ads, or whatever it is you're doing, some of that traffic is going to end up on your website, even if you're not driving the traffic directly there. We do want to make sure the website is optimized because you are going to be running traffic there, whether you're trying to or not, okay? The other thing that I recommend that you go do at this time of year as well is go update your Google My Business page if you haven't done that for a while, or if you haven't claimed that, absolutely go do that right away. You just head over to business.google.com and log in with whatever Google account you have associated with that. And then what I want you to do is I want you to go update your hours. If you're having holiday hours, or you're closed during certain times of the year, we're going to go in and we're going to put that in there. I want you to take some pictures of your studio with your cell phone camera with the geo-targeting turned on, so that GPS data is actually saved in the EXIF data of the image, and then upload that image up there to the Google business page. That allows Google to know exactly where your studio is located. It helps a little bit with the maps listings. That's just kind of a little trick. That's another drop in the bucket that you can do. Very, very easy to do. And then the other thing you want to do is just make some posts about what's going on at your studio, and specifically what you're doing at this time of year, and what offers you have, that kind of stuff. Just make a little post on that. And this isn't about actually getting any of those things to drive more traffic to your website directly. It's all about Google knowing that you're paying attention to it, that you're updating it, that you're in there and active, and that helps Google just to take a couple of steps in the right direction for your search engine optimization, which will help out a little bit, especially not just right now, but mostly in the new year. And we'll show you why we care more about that in the new year than we do right now in just a second here, okay? So go do that if you haven't done that in a while. The other thing is additional emails, like we mentioned earlier, with seasonal offers in them. Specifically, what is it that you can offer to people right now that they can purchase at this time of year that maybe they normally couldn't? Is there some kind of an intro package that includes, a month of classes and a pair of slippers, ballet slippers, or a uniform, or whatever it is that they can purchase, so they have something to wrap up, put under the tree? And we send out a bunch of emails about that, right? We are just absolutely hitting the list really, really hard this time of year. You need to be sending out more emails this year than you do during the rest of the year, and that's to help compensate for all of these other things that are going on, okay? If there are people who are unsubscribing from your list, you should know about that, of course, and know what that unsubscribe rate is and pay attention to that. But that's not a bad thing. You need to understand that the people we want on that list are the people that like receiving our stuff. And if somebody's unsubscribing for your list, in a sense, that's sharpening your sword. And we can, in the future, we can take those email lists, so we can upload them to Facebook and retarget those people and follow them around the internet in addition to sending emails out to them, okay? But the list, the more accurate that list is, people who like getting your stuff, the better off we are. So even if people are unsubscribing because you're sending additional emails, make sure that you're still doing that. It sharpens that tool that you have, keeps it up and functional. Okay. The other thing I would say about emails is we're not sending out HTML formatted newsletters with cool pictures and little CSS layouts and all this kind of stuff. Like that's not what you're doing. When you send an email to a friend or to a colleague, you do not do all kinds of HTML formatting with an attempt to do some kind of branding. We're just communicating with people. This is just another piece of communication. That helps to keep some of the emails out of the spam filters and those kind of things on the other end anyway, but it also makes the emails easier for you to compose and send out. Don't HTML format your emails. Okay, let's just send a message to everybody. Let's get these people in. Let's get those offers in front of them and get them in and doing intros and buying your seasonal offers and stuff. Okay, press releases. This is an absolutely fantastic time of year to be running press releases. The media cycle is just absolutely starving for good news. So what is it that we can do to create a story that is a compelling story that the press agencies are going to want to pick up? Whether that's an independent newspaper in your area, whether that's the local television news, or maybe it's a mommy blog or some kind of what's going on in my city website or something like that. Like those are all the relevant technically news or media agencies, and we need to be sending out releases to them consistently when we have a good, compelling story. So what's something that you're doing that is kind of got that a little bit of holiday spirit behind it somehow, or is having your students show gratitude by participating in some kind of a a community service project or something like that that we can craft into a story. And remember that as you're sending press releases out, what you're trying to do is you're trying to do the job of the journalist for them as best as we can, right? They have to wake up every day and come up with some compelling thing to write about or to create a video about or whatever, right? And so we want to make sure that we kind of do that job for them. How do we create this craft, this compelling story? How can we create some images that are very easy for them to just kind of duplicate and use? Maybe they don't even need to use their own images, that kind of stuff. We can feed that to them. We're much more likely to be picked up. Now, if you're going through our training, actively in one of our programs, you can go in there and there's templates and that kind of stuff that we can provide for you as well as you're making those things. There's some training on how to build up the list of relevant editors in your area and those kind of things. So make sure you're focusing on that this time of year, and especially this year. What is the good news that's coming out of your studio? And let's help to get that word in front of everybody. The world is just starving for that kind of stuff right now, okay? I would absolutely decrease your Google search paid per click ads if you're running any of that kind of stuff, Google ads, or any of those kind of things. Absolutely decrease that at this time of year. Take that budget and throw it all on top of your paid social media ads or some other kind of interruption marketing at this time of year, especially this year. This is advice that I give almost every year at this time of year, but pull it out of your pay-per-click ads on Google and throw it at your social media stuff. Let me show you just really quickly why that's the case. I don't want anybody to get too intimidated by this. This is just a free tool that Google offers. You can go play around with it if you want to, called Google Trends. And you can look at how over time the search results bounce around in how common they are for people to type in search terms. I think this one right here that I did was just the word dance studio. You could run it for dance studios near me or karate studios or music schools or whatever you want and come up with similar trends. But the point that I wanted to make as you're looking at this is that every year a couple of things happen. If you can see this, there's this little dip at a certain time of year. It's kind of a W shape. There's this drop off and then a W shape, and then it picks back up again for most of the year. It drops off, W shape, picks up for the rest of the year, drop off, picks up. And then this is right over here where COVID hit in March and people stopped searching for dance studios. And then it steadily climbed. And most people misunderstood this, that there were plenty of people out there looking for this again as it climbed. But then it's also tanked again. And this tank right here, this drop right here that's happening right now is the same as this drop that happens every single year. Okay, so it's not necessarily directly related to like COVID, though I'm sure that's part of it. It happens every year at this time of year. And a lot of studios misunderstand this, that they think that the fall is the best time to be enrolling students. And they've created this mindset for themselves because it's the best time for them to enroll students. But you look at a majority of the year, and right at the beginning of the fall, when everybody's going back to school, that's when all of this tanks. And then it picks up a little bit right after Thanksgiving, and then it tanks again right after that, and then it goes higher for the rest of the year. Same thing happens again, beginning of the fall, all of the searches online tank, right? Just there aren't as many people searching for those things, goes up a little bit, and then picks up for the rest of the year. It happens every single year. And so at this time of year, what I want you to do, we're not gonna try and we're not gonna try to fill our studio with students by marketing to people that aren't there. Okay, they're not out there on Google searching as much. Now don't completely pull your budgets off that if you're running some, but absolutely decrease your budget at this time of year and then throw it again into Facebook ads. This is the other reason that I say don't schedule those intros right on the Thanksgiving week, because that's pretty much what's happening right here. You can see this the lowest point every single year is pretty much that week of Thanksgiving. And then things bump up again and then drop right at the Christmas time, and then bump up again and climb for the rest of the year. So Q4, decrease pay-per-click and Google ads, increase the interruption marketing and paid social media. All right. Hope that made sense. But the other thing I would say is that, like we said, design a seasonal intro offer that students can purchase as gifts. So your current students, the parents, that kind of thing, is there something that they can purchase for their friends that will allow them to get a uniform or a pair of ballet slippers or whatever it is they need, and then they can have something to kind of wrap up and put on the tree, and it's this intro offer where they can come in and they can take a couple weeks or a month of classes or something like that at your studio, and they're bringing their friends in. So it's another excuse for them to be doing more word of mouth marketing, but it's a much more powerful version of word of mouth marketing because they have money behind it. They are investing in this thing, and they're investing in this friend or whatever that they've been meaning to get into the studio. Now, we absolutely want to be promoting this internally in the studio, and so you're putting up flyers around the studio, announcing it, and all that kind of stuff. You have little samples of these gifts and things wrapped at the front desk, that kind of thing, but also, once again, paid social media ads, and not just boosting posts. We're talking about legit campaigns that you're running, targeted campaigns to prospective students, so that parents, for example, can buy them for their kids, but you're advertising this thing just as one more avenue into the studio. Because like we said, part of the problem this time of year is getting people in for those intro offers, right? Into those intro classes this time of year. This is one way that we can compensate for that and get some additional, not only paid income into the studio, but more commitment from word of mouth marketing at this time of year, because they're not just saying they're going to be a friend, bring a friend sometime. They're actually putting some money behind it and more likely to follow through because they did that. Okay. The other thing is, I would say, get the next open house on your calendar. Open house in the new year. If you're doing open house, following our strategies for open houses, you should be scheduling at least 2 per year. You should be doing one sometime in the fall after school has already gone back in session. Whether you're in the kids market or the adult market, you do one at that time of year, and you do one later in January or early in February, not early in January. And you should be planning on doing at the minimum 50 enrollments in a day, and that's 50 enrollments. When we're talking 50 enrollments, that's new students, and that's new students with large down payments. That should be your goal, okay? And so I don't want you to schedule that open house earlier in January. I want it to be at least the 3rd weekend of January, because we need at least 3 weeks of marketing to ramp up the attendance to something like that, okay? So you make sure that we have good 3 weeks of marketing that we're doing to get those attendance up for this. This is cold traffic, not current students. This is new students coming in and enrolling. We're just going to need more time to do that. Anything more than about 3 weeks of marketing beforehand, and people have a hard time preventing life from getting in the way, and your show-up rate goes down significantly on these open houses. So make sure that you do that exactly 3 weeks of marketing. Put it the last weekend of January, first weekend of February, anytime until the last weekend of February, something like that. But get it on your calendar now so that you have everything ready to launch the moment that you're ready to pull the trigger on that. Don't advertise it before the new year, before January 1st. We're going to start advertising after that, but get it on your calendar so that all your marketing and everything can be in place, and you just need to, turn the campaign on Facebook and send out the emails and all those things that you're doing for that, okay? All right, a couple of additional tips here. More enrollments this season doesn't decrease new year enrollments. Now, if there's anything that you take home from this training for Q4 holiday marketing stuff, this is the most important thing to understand, that this is consistent year after year. The clients that we work with, those that enroll the most students during Q4 also enroll the most students during Q1. Okay, so it's not like by enrolling more students at this time of year that you're going to decrease the number of students that you're enrolling in January. We just never see that, okay? We just don't see that. But if you can keep this focus, if you can keep this momentum going with your marketing at this time of year, get those people in and get those people enrolled right now, it will not decrease the number of people that enroll in your studio in January. It will increase the number of people that enroll in the Q1. So if you're fine with the number of students you have and you're fine with the income of your studio, I don't know why you're watching this video, but otherwise, this is the lesson that you need to take home from this, okay? More enrollments this season does not decrease new enrollments. It does exactly the opposite. It increases new year enrollments. And so Q4 enrollments has an impact, a multiplicative effect, right, on the new year Q1 enrollments, right? So more you can do in Q4, the more you're going to get in Q1. All right. Schedule interim classes as necessary. This is a big one, of course, big thing that we focus on with studios in our program that are going through our consulting programs. You need to make sure that you have a place, kind of holding tank classes for students to go, even if you're not accepting new enrollments in some of your other fundamentals level, beginner level classes. So if you're learning choreography or practicing choreography this time of year, aren't ready to put new students in there because it's too disruptive to your program, that's fine. We just open a couple of other temporary classes, and we get these other students into those classes, and we fill those classes. The moment that the regular schedule opens back up again, those folks in that holding tank and those interim classes get first crack at the regular schedule, right? And so there's pressure on people to be maintaining enrollment throughout the year because they know that there's always somebody there that's looking to take the spot in the class that they have. So those interim classes is a real key thing that we do this time of year, and then as well in the, before, like, performances in the early summer or whatever else you're doing, okay? Optimize your prospect pipeline. We talked about optimizing your website a little bit, but the prospect pipeline itself, show-up rates are going to be harder this time of year, okay? They just are. It's harder to get a hold of people on the phone. It's harder to get people to respond to emails and text messages. So we need to make sure that we do a good job of managing this prospect pipeline. And the prospect pipeline, what we're referring to, for those of you who don't know that term yet, what are the actions that happen to a prospective students student, between the time that they raise their hand and say, hey, I'm interested in your stuff, and the time that you're actually making an enrollment conference offer to them and saying, this is what you should enroll for, let's take your credit card and get you signed up, right? What are the steps that happen there? What emails are going out? What phone calls are being made? What text messages are happening? All of those things should be happening, and you should not be automating this. There's a lot of bad information out there right now today. There's a lot of tools out there that'll do like automated text messages and automated non-personalized emails and all this kind of stuff, right? We want human beings involved in this process. And if you're trying to run like the dollar store of dance studios, you're going to get the dollar store result out of the students that you enroll. We want high customer service. We want high customer attention and retention. And we're demonstrating a ton of value in this prospect pipeline. We talk about it a lot of times as if it's it's an indoctrination sequence. We're trying to get people to see us as the best option for them, not just some option for them, or not just the closest option to their house, right? That's not why we want people enrolling with us. And so the prospect pipeline needs more focus and more attention this time of year, not less focus, okay? Most of your competitors don't even understand what that is or understand how that process works. But that demonstration of value before you actually make an offer to enroll is key to getting these large down payments and getting people to commit to 12 months of training off the bat, even beginners, and the high tuition rates. Like all of it is, this is a really, really important piece. So please don't ignore this piece, okay? We need extra optimization on your prospect pipeline this year, or this time of year. Pay attention to those stats. If they're starting to drop, let's figure out why. Go look at the bottlenecks. Where are they? Let's figure out why, and then let's clear those out and get those folks in. Once again, if you can get those folks in before the end of the year, and I'm not going to lie, it is going to be harder to do, but if you can do that, you have a better quarter four. I promise you will have a better quarter one. Remember that marketing has momentum. I've mentioned this a couple of times. If you just kind of throw your hands up and give up at this time of year, or back off a little bit because you're not as willing to work hard this time of year, or you've convinced yourself with this mindset that marketing doesn't work this time of year, you're just wrong. Maybe bad marketing doesn't work at this time of year. That's true. But if you shut this off, you will have fewer clients in quarter one and throughout next year. If you turn off your marketing at this time of year, it will have an impact on the value, the quality of the results of that marketing in the year to come. So do not shut that off. Let's keep the pressure on it. Showed you some of those shifts to make and when to turn things off and when to turn things on. So if you need to go watch a replay of this to remind yourself of that, that's fine. But we do not shut it off. We compensate every time we shut something off. We're compensating with something else. I hope you notice that, okay? The other thing, last little additional tip here that I would say is that you should consider pushing your tuition up aggressively for new students in January. Not on all your old students, not the ones that already have agreements. We're going to do different things with them. We're going to add value to their programs and upgrade them into new things that are more expensive down the road. The current students, though, the new students that are coming in January, absolutely you should be considering pushing tuition up aggressively for those students in January. It accomplishes a number of things. First of all, if your enrollments are going well and you're getting people signed up because you're following everything else that we teach, that's what you should be focusing on and doing anyway, right? You should be doing that anyway. But it also gives you an excuse, once again, to create some urgency, because if they sign up right now in quarter four, right, over these months, then they lock in that lower tuition rate. And if they come back in January, they still can, but they need to understand they're paying more, right? And that's really good value for the business, of course, in the long-term average student value. But also, even if they do put it off, you end up making more money off of that student when you do get them in, because they're paying a higher rate because they waited to enroll. So absolutely the right strategy no matter what. But we're talking aggressively, not little $2, $3 improvements or increases in your tuition. You should be charging significantly higher tuition rates starting next year. Okay, please let us know if you have any questions at all about any of this training. We'd be happy to chat with you a little bit more about it all and let you know how you can kind of customize this for your own studio if you do need that help. Now, for those of you that are not current clients of our consulting programs, if you're interested in working together with us or getting some assistance in putting some of these systems in place, I'd recommend you head over to dancestudioConsult.com. That will redirect you to a page that just has a little form on it that we need you to fill out. Give us a little bit of information about your own studio and the position you're currently in, and kind of a little bit about where you're at and where you're trying to go, that kind of thing. And then you fill out that form, and you'll then be redirected to our calendar where you can schedule a call with my team or I, and we'll hop on a call with you, no cost for that call at all. Spend about 30 minutes talking to you a little bit about your studio and what your goals are and maybe what is preventing you from reaching those goals. And then we can kind of outline a plan for you on what you should be doing next and what specifically in your circumstance with your particular goals you should be focusing on first, and how quickly you should be implementing those things. Okay, so we can help you lay all of that out. And then if it makes sense and we think you're a good fit, we may make an invitation for you to come into one of our consulting programs if you'd like to chat a little bit about that. But either way, the idea is that you come away from that call with some super clarity of what you should be doing next to kind of take things to the next level. All right. So if that sounds like you, if that sounds like we might be a good fit, I'd recommend you head over there, dancestudioConsult.com. Go schedule that free 30-minute call. First, what you need to do is fill out that little form. Let us know a little bit more about what you're trying to accomplish and where you're currently at. Everybody's kind of down a little bit right now. Most of the people that reach out to us are a little bit down right now. That's absolutely fine. We'll show you how you can really, really ramp things up very, very quickly. And if you're the kind of studio that is genuinely trying to provide high value, high customer service, we ought to have a chat and see if there's something we can help you out with as you're ramping things back up. This is a great time of year to be doing this. The sooner we can do this, the better off we are. If we can get most of this stuff implemented before the end of the year, you will have a much, much better Q1 as people are getting back out again and actively searching for what it is you're selling. Okay? All right, head over there one last time, dancestudioConsult.com. Go schedule that call, and we'll talk to you on the other side.